Brittney Griner, who was imprisoned in Russia in a man's prison, which I had no idea about. And I think that leads us into our next story. Amy, take us away.
Yeah, so I would never have thought that I would be on here talking about a sports story, okay? Anybody at Valuetainment who knows me knows that I am very much not adept when it comes to the world of sports. But we do have a very interesting intersection right now with Pride Month going on. And so I thought I would bring this story to you guys. There has been widespread speculation for a while now, but it's really kind of come to a head on Twitter over the last couple of days that Brittney Griner, the WNBA's Brittney Griner, is in fact a man. And where a lot of this actually surfaced from, and I mean, you guys could probably say like, yo, isn't it obvious? Like her voice, you know, there's a lot of things that you can kind of look towards. However, this video actually resurfaced. It's an Instagram story from, I believe it says 109 weeks ago. I can't see from here, but over 2 years ago, that this video was recorded and it was recently leaked on Twitter. So Kelly, if we can go ahead and play this video, please, and then we'll have a discussion.
Value, Brittney. Let me see something real quick. Brick, thank you. Get the fuck.
Damn.
Look at the chest.
Yo. Jab stepping. It's the brick. Swing and a miss.
Very clearly Brittney.
I ain't gonna fake it right now.
They called him/her by their name. And as you can clearly see here, his bare chest is completely exposed. Now, there's a couple of different things here. First things first is like there's a lot of AI detections in these things. Like you can't post anything like that on social media without it being detected. And so, I mean, whatever AI detection, you know, glanced over this thing, did not flag it. Like they clearly was like, okay, this is just a man with their chest exposed. Okay, number two, you could possibly speculate, okay, is Brittney trans then? What's the situation here? But as we can see, this is the picture, right, Kelly? There aren't any top surgery scars. Like,
that's what I was wondering. Maybe she had like some type of double mastectomy. Sometimes you hear that breast cancer will run in a family, so girls will have a preemptive mastectomy to remove their breast, but I don't see any surgery scars. Now, it's not a very clear image, but I would think that you'd be able to see something, and that just looks like the chest of a 13-year-old boy. I know that because I have a 14-year-old boy at home.
Yeah. I mean, and there's great surgeons out there, okay? So even still, maybe we could be a little bit skeptical. But then I also saw this tweet. So I wonder if we can punch in on it a little bit. Or, Brandon, can you read it since you're a little bit closer?
Brittney Griner is a weird case. He's a man, yes, that much is obvious, but not the way you think. He isn't trans. He's straight.
A straight
cis
male. Sorry, it's not typical words. Sorry.
Yeah, made up words. It's okay.
He's a straight cis man who was raised as a girl and given a girl's name by his parents. His mother is the insane one. She forced him to live as a female right through high school. Filled out all his paperwork, including BC as a female, kept the charade going. He played on a girls' sports teams because his paper said that he was a girl. He had to keep pretending in college to stay on the women's teams. He had to keep just barely pretending to stay in the WNBA now. But all other ways he lives life as a man. He wears men's clothes, dates, and is married to women. Has masculine features and takes masculine roles. If not for his mother's insanity, he would be a mediocre male player in the NBA.
That's pretty good. I'd take mediocre in the NBA.
In a way, I feel sorry for him because all his success depends on him maintaining the lie that he lived for his whole life. Of course, Russia gives zero shits and will treat him like the male that he is. Maybe it'll be a refreshing change for him.
Yeah, so this clearly references Brittney Griner going to Russian prison, and a male Russian prison at that. But what's really interesting about this, Kelly, we can flick over to the articles here, and we're not going to really hone in on any of these. I just have a couple of headlines, guys, because I wanted to show you that this is really the most information I could find about Brittney Griner being in a male prison, especially when it came to publications from different sports entities. There was nothing mentioned about Brittney being in a male prison. I wonder why. Are they trying to withhold this information for any particular reason? I mean, that's what I would assume, right? But you can really only find evidence of it in passing. It's literally just mentioned in passing in a bunch of articles, but no one really hones in on it. Now, if this was actually a woman who was put in a male Russian prison, one would think that there would be entire articles dedicated to this, an entire Netflix series, honestly, in today's social justice world, right?
Yeah.
But from my perspective, exactly like the tweet said, Russia isn't going to put up with this shit. If they saw that this is a man, then yeah, they're going to put you in a man's prison. And it's pretty evident why it would be suppressed here, especially when it comes to the WNBA. But yeah, what do you guys think about this?
To give it 100, there's two. I mean, she's either a winner or she's either a victim. She's not at fault here at all.
You
Because
said
the
she,
mother
though.
brainwashed.
You said she. So
Well-
you think it's a she.
Well, I don't.
Oh, okay, I should have said it. Sorry.
I don't,
You think
think
Brittney
it's
is
a
a
she?
she.
I don't know what the right pronoun the regime wants me to use now, but when I hear Brittney, I use she. And but anyhow, she, he, or she, or they, them. I don't know. They either were incredibly successful at doing the transition from female to male, and by society standards, and that's what the left doesn't get. You know, is the how do you call it, Shane? Compulsory language.
Yeah, compulsory language. Yeah.
Compulsory language. If I see Brittney in at 7-Eleven, I will call him a he. And if he trans, and my first reaction will be to call him a him. Good for her. She's not committing any crime. She's over 18. She's doing him or she or whatever is doing her thing. So good for her. Winner. Now she's a victim. If the mother made her go like since she was little, and it's a horrible thing. If the mother was crazy and made her go through it, she's a victim. You know. But I don't think I don't see she's not hurting anyone, and I don't think there's nothing wrong with this. What I do think is wrong is what the U.S. government did to trade like one of the most dangerous criminals, like international criminals,
A merchant of death.
for her, and leaving actual troops there that are important for national security there. I wish every American was taken care of and brought back here, whatever the crime they did, because But I don't see anything wrong about it.
Okay, so here's the thing. I don't give a fuck about women's sports, and I think that most people probably don't care about women's sports, except the women who have been training their whole life to make it on a women's sports team. And in both the instances that you just described, like if this is a successful transition and Brittney is on cross-sex hormones, that means that Brittney has more testosterone, artificially induced testosterone in their system than their female counterparts who they're playing with on the team.
All right,
so it's unequal,
There is
it's unbalanced.
there is fault there.
And
But
also, if he is a male, then it's messed up from both perspectives.
Yeah, the only way that she's totally innocent is if she's actually a girl and has always been a girl, and it's just a rumor from Russia.
Yeah.
Well, so according to Wikipedia, whether you trust that or not, on November 17th, Griner's lawyers said that she was transferred to IK2, a female penal colony in the town of Yavas in the region of Mordovia. She was previously held at an undisclosed location. But when you check out the IK2, it does say that it's a corrective colony number 2 of the FSIN of Russia for the Republic of Mordovia. It is a women's corrective colony in Russia. So
2017, you said?
2017.
This was in like 2022, though, when...
November 17th. I didn't give
okay.
the year. I don't know what year that was.
Two, maybe.
2022.
Okay.
So that's according to her attorneys back in November of 2 years ago. But who knows what undisclosed location she was held at? So
Yeah.
And again, it's only mentioned in passing in these articles. Like
it was.
why-
I had to dig. I mean, I had to go to her Wikipedia to find where she was actually in prison because every article would just say a Russian prison.
Exactly, and that's why those few screenshots that I brought up, I highlighted them when they specifically mentioned Brittney being held in a men's prison. But again, if that was unfounded, if that was unfair, if it was actually a human rights violation because that is a woman, we would have heard way more about this, a lot more.
Does it matter to you guys if, like, Obama came out and he's like, yeah, she's Mike, she had a penis, but we had it removed. I love her, and she's a woman in my eyes. Or Macron comes out and goes, yeah, it was Brad, not Brigitte. Would that change your opinion of either of them?
Yeah, I mean, because they lied.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Do,
not-
so
it's-
you care about the, but what if the lie was to protect someone that they loved? What if it
No,
was,
'cause-
I love this person and I don't want dildo podcaster saying she was born a man, and here we are nonetheless. So
we
like they
are.
did it to protect the loved ones, not to necessarily harm the public, but to protect the people they love.
Doesn't the
No, it's like
WNBA
saying-
have an onus of responsibility to be able to ensure that it's fair playership, though? I don't know if playership's a word, but you know what I'm saying?
competition, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, for college sports and for the WNBA too, 100%. I mean, I don't think it's ever okay for guys to be playing girl sports, but if this is true, then she was like the origin of this epidemic, and maybe it was like all planned, I guess, sensitized to some huge bitch playing with other.
Will we see the day where we see a woman in the NBA or a man in the WNBA claiming to be a woman?
The man in the WNBA,
Unless
yes.
Brittney Griner, but
Yeah.
go ahead.
Man in the WNBA, yes, because things are that crazy right now, and maybe it would help it get more views since it gets no views right now. Maybe people would be outrage viewing.
Well,
but
it's getting views now because of Caitlin Clark, but how
Correct.
long is that going to last? Is there going to be another Caitlin Clark next year during the WNBA
Probably
draft
not.
when people give a shit? Nobody cared about WNBA. Okay, the majority of Americans did not care about the
99.9%.
WNBA. Yes, for the past 20 years that it's been in existence. Now all of a sudden there's this superstar phenom. So it's like nobody really paid attention to the NBA after Michael Jordan left until LeBron James came.
Yeah, and then they
right there
got
was
woke.
a superstar that reinvented the sport and people started following it. So like. People are paying attention to Caitlin Clark now. I think if there was a man that identified as a woman, do you ever see Joanna Man? It's okay. Nobody ever saw this movie. It's a movie from like the 90s where I think his name's Orlando Bloom. He pretends to be a woman so he can play in the WNBA and dominate the sport. He gets
Oh my
banned from the
but
NBA.
you can make more being a plumber.
What's that? You can make more.
It's true.
Yeah, well,
very,
okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
This movie clearly is suspended disbelief, but yeah, it was actually entertaining to watch a man play against other women. I'd be more interested in watching a man identifying as a woman playing in the
Yes.
WNBA than seeing a woman,
Pretending to be a man.
yeah, and
Well, it's
getting
impossible.
dominated.
It's
in the
impossible.
NBA.
And you don't see it as well, which I think it says a lot when we're talking about transgenders. It says a lot about the intentions of certain people. Like, no woman is wanting to transition into a man and then impose themselves upon men's spaces like that. But for men transitioning to women, that seems to be all they want to do. It's all that we hear about.
Is it
you
wrong
know?
to want different sports leagues for transgendered people? Like, I think
They should have their
a
own.
super interesting, yeah, like a super interesting boxing match would be a man transitioning to a woman, boxing a woman transitioning into a man.
tranny man.
It'd be the, I would definitely bet on that.
Sounds like Roman blood sports. Like,
Okay, I'm the weird one. I'd rather it's that than
you're right.
be in female
You're
sports
right. No,
and
you're right.
dominating the
You're
competition.
right, Rob. And honestly,
100%.
that's not even like a transphobic thing to say because when you actually ask trans people, a lot of legitimate trans people like Blair White, I actually really enjoy a lot of Blair White's perspectives. You know, they say, you know, hey, I think trans should be its own category. So
I think, I mean, this sports is the most optional thing. It's the most optional thing. Like nobody's gonna make you watch it. Nobody's gonna make you play in it. I think, I mean, and the NBA is a private league. So is the NFL. So is the WNBA. They're all private entities that are franchised, and they're in the right because this is America to keep any kind of fiction that they want to keep up for entertainment purposes. My view is different when it comes to college sports because that's taxpayer funded and that can change the life of a woman that has been training hard and maybe she doesn't have enough money, so she needs to play, run or do track or do volleyball, and able to pay for her education. Some people go to the military to pay for their education. Some people play sports to pay for their education. So they're two different ball games. I think private companies, they can keep any fiction that they want to keep. The market will talk. And the market has been talking the last 28 years. Nobody watches it. It had a spike now for a little bit. And as funny as you say that we might have a trans league of whatever, boxing, UFC or whatever, if the market desires to have that happen, it will happen.
Yep.
And people will come into it. I just don't think when it comes to like taxpayer-funded leagues, I think competition needs to be fair. As the same thing as getting a government contract, the same thing as getting a scholarship, an internship, like a tenure. There needs to be, a balanced, fair ground. But for private entities, they can do whatever they like, and the market will speak. That's it. Like
We have to wrap up, so I want to go around and ask everybody a quick two questions quickly. The first question: is there any sport that a woman could compete in a men's league? If so, what is that sport? And the second question: is Brittney Griner a man? We'll start with you, Shane.
I would say they can compete probably in running, like most
I
Olympic.
said sport.
Okay.
Like NFL, NHL.
So it needs to be a team thing.
Yes, like
It's a team
one of the
sport.
4 major sports: baseball, basketball, football,
So archery
and
doesn't
hockey.
count.
Is there any what?
Archery doesn't count.
No. I'm not looking for like
Maybe baseball?
the discus.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Curling? What's that?
Yeah.
Curling?
So
Maybe baseball, I guess. I mean, still probably not with hitting, but with pitching.
Okay, Brittney Griner, man or no?
Probably, man, I don't know.
Okay, so, all right.
I'm
Brandon,
sold.
Nagging.
nagging. That's not a sport. But my wife
No,
would win the
no.
gold medal in that. Go ahead.
No, none of the big four.
None of the big
No,
four.
no way
Okay,
in hell.
And is Brittney Griner a man or a woman?
I've always had a feeling that yes.
Yes,
I've
what?
never heard this before with this evidence, but I've always had a feeling that it wasn't she.
Born
he-
a dude?
He was a man,
He,
yeah.
she.
Biologically a male, but now identifies as a female. Humberto,
Yes.
can a woman compete in any of the four major sports?
I don't know how major it is, but it's big worldwide. The Formula One, all right, it's been the most inclusive sport since I think it was 1918 that they allowed women to drive. Like it's a big event, you know. It's a worldwide. They sell out all the tickets everywhere. They sell out pay-per-views.
So you're
And-
suggesting women as drivers?
No, no,
women, like, isn't there a stereotype
no,
of
no,
women
listen,
being
listen,
worse
listen.
ironic.
than men?
They can fact check me in the chat. They've been allowed since 1918. So
How many
and
are in there?
Huh?
How many are in there right now?
there's been 8 of them that competed
In
professionally.
120 years?
And yes, in the 120 years, there've been 8 of them to compete professionally, and all the points, all of them scored, like throughout the whole career that they had. It wouldn't even put them in, because you know it's by points that they arrange the cars. It wouldn't even put them in second to last place.
So no. Your answer is no. There's no sport.
The thing is, and to be fair, society, you know, like for example, if you if you liked baseball, okay, they allow you to not engage in other things, and you can be 100% baseball. Yeah, you know that kid that does baseball, he goes to practice 3 times a day, and he talks baseball, wears baseball, does everything for baseball, and baseball is his life. Like as a boy growing up, you get to do that. You get to have one thing that you're obsessed with, and you become incredibly good at it. It be dinosaurs, be sports, be whatever. Women, they're forced to be more well-rounded. They still need to look decent. They still need to do decently well at school, blah, 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 this and that. So the level of obsession that you need to get to like a high-performance sports, I don't think it's possible. It's never been done.
Brittney Griner, man or woman?
I can't tell.
You can't tell.
Well, let's end the segment with the person who brought the topic to the table. Amy, do you think a woman, as the only woman on the panel, unless Shane or Brandon, you guys want to speak up and say something now?
Nope.
No.
No,
Okay. So the only
women-
woman on the panel. Do you think a woman could compete in a man's sport? And is Brittney Griner a man or woman?
No, women are like physiologically inferior to men in nearly every single way, from like lung capacity, like density of bones, like size, strength, speed, everything. So to answer your question, no, absolutely not. And is Brittney Griner a man? I mean, based off everything that we've seen here, my inkling, like you said, would have been yes, but now seeing this evidence and the thing above even the flat chest with no like mastectomy scars or anything like that, what really gets me is the fact that yes, Brittney was held in a man's Russian prison. You can see it, but there's no widespread outrage or article or anything about that. To me, that is the most suspicious part about all of this.
Well, majority rules. Brittney Griner, man, according to these guys.
Heard it here first.
Yes,
Usual
you heard it
suspects.
here first.